Thanks for coming to the Raising Funds for Rare session. I'm Lydia Dubose, Community and Volunteer Engagement Manager for SRNA, and I've asked Cheryl and Sarah to come and share a little bit about their experiences. But this is really a time for, us all to share experiences, share questions, share ideas together. So the intention for this session is to learn kind of tips and tricks for participating in fundraisers, participating in our charity walks that we call walk, run, and rolls. And in that way to support and raise awareness, raise funds for rare neuroimmune diseases. So hopefully you'll come out of this feeling informed about how to get started and get involved. And yeah, we're excited to have you here. There's a few different ways that you can, raise funds for rare. There's a kind of one-to-one peer-to-peer fundraisers that you can set up on the SRNA website. And then there's kind of these larger walk events that you can participate in. I can describe a little bit later how you can get involved in a peer-to-peer fundraiser if there's not a walk in your area, or if a walk is not something that you feel prepared to do. But we'll start with our walk, run, and rolls experiences with Cheryl and Sarah. So Cheryl and Sarah, would you please both introduce yourselves, share a little bit about your background with rare neuroimmune disorders, how you found SRNA, and just a little bit about you. Cheryl, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl McInnes. I had a spinal cord stroke at C2C4 at age 52, but unfortunately, I was initially diagnosed with transverse myelitis, and not till I found the SRNA and went to many symposiums and met Dr. Cardo did I see him in 2017, and he reevaluated all of my initial MRIs, etc., and he re-diagnosed me and corrected it to a spinal cord stroke. And unfortunately, at that time in 2010, it left me paralyzed from the neck down. But thank goodness with PT, I was able to walk out of the hospital 6 weeks later using a cane and a rollator. So I've got many deficits, unfortunately, a lot of nerve pain, etc., as I'm sure all of you can relate to. But I feel blessed that at least I was able to walk out of there and did not end up in a wheelchair. And since joining SRNA in 2011, I've gone to, I think, 6 or 7 symposiums. I've participated in 7 walks, which have been a terrific way to meet other members, the doctors as well, because many doctors have also participated, and just sort of be involved in a like community. So you can have some people to sort of share all of your concerns. So it's been a terrific way over the years for us to be involved and help raise some money. Thank you.
Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I don't really know how I found SRNA. Oh, I found TMA. So before it was SRNA, it was TMA, and I found TMA, and they had just like a few things, and I would read online, and I think part of their social media. And then I went to a gala and realized, like, wow, there's a lot of people who are part of this, and I want to be part of it. And then in 2021, I hosted a walk, run, and roll. And then again in 2023, I hosted a second walk, run, and roll. Oh, and I was diagnosed with TM in 2006. And I was an incomplete quadriplegic. And then I was inpatient at just like a regular children's hospital, and then an inpatient at a rehab hospital with 3 hours a day of PT. I did a week at Kennedy Krieger for our PT boot camp. And then since then, last year, I also went to family camp, and I attend Zooms and the support groups. And so SRNA has really been like a very welcoming home of other people who just get it. And it's nice to have conversations with people who understand you on a different level. And then hosting the walk was really important to spread awareness and share awareness, because it is invisible and we need more people to understand.
Yeah, it's awesome that you've both been involved in walks in some different ways, as a host, as an attendee. And, you've already spoke a little bit to why you've participated in walks, or what the value you've found is in participating in walk, run, and rolls. But can you share a little bit more about what are some of the highlights of walk, run, and rolls for you? What are some of the whys behind why people might want to be a part of that kind of event? And anything else that you'd like to share?
I know for myself, I think for me, it was almost a healing process of, I had really struggled with even coming to terms with having TM and what that meant and what my life looked like after my diagnosis. And hosting my first walk was, for me, a very healing way of, this is part of me now. Oh, I brought my shirt today if anyone wanted to see it. Oh, in support of it. Here's my walk, run, and roll shirt.
That's awesome.
But we need some orange in our life. So for me, it was also just really nice to kind of have a reason to share my story. And then it's also just really cool to see the sea of orange, and these people either support me because they know me personally, they support me because they understand, they support because they have a family member, or there's somebody who just wants to learn. And I think that is really important, because, the people who know about TM or other similar diagnoses in my life know about it because of a very personal reason. But it's one of those things that unless it happens to you or someone that you don't know anything about it. And there's been a lot of people who have said, wow, I wish I knew more. I want to know more about that. And if I'm not wearing my brace or I'm not holding my crutches, people would never know. So I think it's important to make the invisible visible. I don't know. I wish there was a better way to word that, but make it visible.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. How about you, Cheryl?
It's funny because I started because I would meet people at the symposiums, and then I would start to connect with people online. So I would see where the events were, because it was so nice to connect with them personally, as opposed to just making comments online or whatever. That's why my husband and I have gone to 7. 4 of them have been within driving distance, a couple of hours. But we've been crazy enough to go to Ohio. We live in Rhode Island. To go to Illinois. I became friends with Liz Boutel online. And when she was hosting one, he had business to do in Illinois. So we did a detour to go to that walk. We've gone to Ohio for the walk. Where else have we gone? We've been to Baltimore for a walk, when all the Johns Hopkins doctors were participated as well. So it's just been almost a healing process, because when you're talking to people online about your similar situation, and then when you physically get to meet them and have that connection, and many you're still friends with them now 13 years later, and you can still connect on other personal things as well. So it's just really nice to get that sense of community, and also I'm very thankful that my family also supports me going to the walks with me, or just participating by contributing towards the research. So it's been terrific in that respect too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thinking about being a part of an event like a walk, run, and roll, or thinking about trying to raise money or to spread awareness can be really intimidating for folks who have never done it before.
Yeah.
And so, how much can you relate to that feeling, and what advice would you have for others who want to be a part of these kinds of activities?
meet a lot because I feel like, as I'm sure, because Sarah has dealt with the illness almost as long as well or longer. You sort of keep asking them every year, I'm doing a walk again. Can you please, contribute? And thank goodness they've been forthcoming with that. I just say if one comes in your area, just do it. Even if you end up going alone, everybody's very welcoming. Bring one family member or a friend. And don't have people put pressure on it. Sometimes they feel if they don't contribute, X dollars, then they shouldn't contribute at all. Every little bit helps, even if it's $1, $5, whatever. Every bit goes towards, because we were all surprised, at least the walks I've done. I think almost every walk has raised over $10,000. And we don't have a big group of participants, but everybody's sort of amazed that whether they're family, friends, or if you're working, many companies have also been very forthcoming in contributing. So I would say just go for it and do it, and don't panic. It's not a 26-mile. In some cases, it's only a quarter of a mile, but it's more of a social event than it is doing like a walk, but it's well worth it.
I don't even think mine was a quarter of a mile. You guys walked very far.
One of them was almost 2, and they took the picture before I finished because everybody that had TM or related illness had wheelchairs. I was the only one walking. So they were cheering me on as I walked up the hill. But
I think it's definitely overwhelming if you're like, I'm going to do this. And if you are doing it, I would say give yourself time and give yourself obtainable goals. Because I think my first year I gave myself unobtainable goals, and Lydia and Sky were like, it's your first one ever. You've never even hosted people to your house for dinner. Like, chill, bring it in. And then the next year it was just build on it. And I think I totally agree with what you said, Cheryl. Even if you go by yourself, just go, because there were 4 or 5 people that came to the walk that I didn't know. They didn't know anyone. And every single person there, you automatically know you have one thing you can talk about. Mm-hmm. What brought you here? Mm-hmm. And that in itself is you already have a bond. You already have a connection. And then it's also a great way to find community people. I went and found a bagel shop. And when I told them what it was for, they were like, I've never heard of this before, but I love this. And when I went to pick up the bagels the day before, and I got there an hour early, they're like, we're out of bagels today. We're donating them to a good cause. You missed it. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Mm-hmm. But like, you still have an hour to sell things. And they're like, no, we want to really support the people in our community. So it also just it helps you find the good in people. Mm-hmm. But I think go slow and remember that every little bit counts.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, and we only have a couple of minutes left. I know this is a really short period of time we have together, but thinking about, a big theme for us is thinking about the future. We're looking back at the last 30 years of SRNA. We're looking forward to the next 30 years of SRNA. So what are your hopes, or what is your vision for Walk, Run, and Rolls in the future, or for similar events like that in the future?
That it becomes like those walks, they block the streets out because hundreds of people are coming, and people know what it is, and it's just known.
Yeah, I would add to that, Sarah. I think it would be wonderful if there was one in every state. Because I think it's been pretty sporadic. I don't think there's more than maybe a half a dozen or so that have gone on, but it's almost sort of the same states are doing it. Mm-hmm. So if the word continued to spread more, that maybe there was at least one in every state, I think that would be fabulous to work towards some goal. Maybe there's only, 2 or 3 or half a dozen extra every year, and it sort of multiplies from there to spread the awareness that way.
That's awesome. It's a beautiful vision. I love what both of y'all said. Awesome. Well, I wanted to make sure to mention also, I know we've focused mostly on walk, run, and rolls, but also other ways that people can get involved in raising funds. You don't have to be a part of an event in your local community to be a part of raising funds and raising awareness. We had several people last year who just set up their own fundraiser through our website, and they had different projects or different things that they did to raise awareness. There was somebody who was the spouse of somebody diagnosed who had some races and like triathlons that he was doing. So he was raising awareness during that. There was somebody else who she was in the UK and she did this plane walk. You were like on an airplane and it was kind of a physical challenge, and raised awareness in her community that way. And then there's somebody else who is marking a significant milestone of living for 10 years with transverse myelitis. And so they marked that as a time to raise awareness and did her own challenge. She does rowing. And so she did this rowing challenge for her 10 years and raised awareness that way. So there are lots of ways to get involved. You know, if you can be a part of a walk, run, and roll, that is always amazing. But our community is always very creative and imaginative, and there's always new ways to raise awareness, new ways to be involved. So encourage folks to consider that as well. But yeah, that brings us kind of to the end of our time. Cheryl and Sarah, is there anything else that y'all would like to share?
I just say to everyone, we're all in it together. Everybody understands what you're going through, even if it's not the exact same diagnoses, but we're all there to listen. And if you have an opportunity to go to an event, whether it be the walk or a symposium, whatever, go and meet other people and just make that connection.
Awesome.
I agree. I think use the resources that SRNA has because there are so many.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Cheryl and Sarah, and thanks for joining the Raising Funds for Rare session.